Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast Live. Yes. I wasn't expecting to do this one tonight, but I got inspired by some discussions I was having with my favorite Baltimore cast, my main man Bruce, and of course my co-host G. So I decided to do the show and address it because I thought it was a good topic. It's something I've been thinking about and something we've been back and forth about. But I wasn't originally planning to do a show, but since we had so much going on with it, I said, you know what, I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna rock with this. But before we get to that, you know what time it is. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept aware anytime we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in the Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you enjoy the content as you listen, make sure you give us a like, a 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us, and write it down, put it in your phones, make a note of it. The Format Podcast is live Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. And finally, if you're really and truly enjoying the podcast and you want to help the show continue to grow, make sure you go ahead and click that join button, join the channel. We're going to have some exclusive content just for you. All right. My bad on that intro. This is the second time recently that I started doing a show and I had the microphone muted, but I'm up now. I'm ready to rock and roll. So what I was saying was, this is a topic that I wasn't originally planning to do a show about, and I hadn't originally planned to even do a show this evening, but I've been kind of back and forth on this particular topic with my two guys from Baltimore. Of course, my main man, my co-host G, and my main man Bruce from Baltimore. So this is something we've talked about a lot. You heard us kind of discuss it on the show across the NFL season. You heard us discuss it, I think, last Sunday. We did a nice little thing where we kind of flipped it. I defended Lamar and G defended Josh Allen. So we definitely got into it a bit and it was cool. But recently, as you see by the thumbnail, Emanuel Acho, the main host of The Facility on Fox Sports 1, he was on the, what's the name of the show? He was on the Vault podcast, which, let me remind you, is a Baltimore Ravens podcast, right? And he got on there because he and the female host of that, I think her name is Sarah Ellison, they were DMing back and forth, I guess, having some spirited debate about why Acho voted for Josh Allen as most valuable player. Note the verbiage there, most valuable player in the NFL this season over Lamar Jackson. And so I guess she invited him onto the show and he got onto the show and they had a really good talk about it, probably about a 30-minute interview. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to give my initial thoughts on this, and then I'm actually going to play not a snippet, but I'm going to play out this whole interview and you'll hear me doing my usual stop, make some commentary, and then go back into the interview. And so I think this is going to be a good way for me to kind of give my complete thoughts on this, how I feel about what Acho is saying, how I feel about what the young lady Sarah Ellison is saying, how she's presenting her argument, et cetera, right? And I think that that's something that I needed to do because it almost seems like a volatile topic. It's kind of crazy. I think Acho even got death threats for voting Josh Allen MVP over Lamar. I'm telling you, I don't understand these fans. Now, let me be clear here, right? I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. G knows that, Bruce knows that, right? I'm sure they don't think I'm enough of one because I don't believe that Lamar Jackson could walk on water. I don't believe he's infallible. As great and as incredible a player as he is, you've heard me say time and time again, there are some things that I would like cleaned up from him. And I do believe he will clean them up because all we've seen throughout his entire career is him continue to improve, get better, shred the record books in the NFL at the quarterback position, and do things that we've never seen done before. So respect due for all of that, right? Now, that said, that still doesn't mean he's infallible, right? And so, that doesn't mean that he should get everything all the time. And that also doesn't mean that people should be criticized. People should be threatened with death when they criticize him as, a sports analyst or a podcaster or what have you, whatever it may be. So, like I said, I wanted to get on here and I really wanted to kind of go into my thoughts on this. And I'll say this, right? and I will comment on all the different things that get said throughout the course of this video, but it's really interesting to me. And you will see as the video goes on, this is the first thing, right? You'll see as the video goes on, Sarah, who I don't know if she's a journalist or not, but she seems to clearly lack objectivity on this topic. And mind you, I told you from the beginning, I am a Lamar Jackson fan. I am a Baltimore Ravens fan, but I'm also very objective on the topic. And I don't think she was that at all. I don't know her background or what she does. I probably should have researched that before I got on the show, but she is clearly a Ravens fan. And don't get me wrong, she does the Baltimore Ravens podcast, right? Which is directed to whom? Baltimore Ravens fans. So I guess she has to, and I don't know if she really feels this way, if she's playing a role, but she's got to lean in a certain direction, right? So I think 100% objectivity and playing it down the middle is not going to work in terms of her having success or being the host of that podcast platform. It's not going to work. But for me, y'all know how I get down, right? I try so hard to be objective whenever I'm talking about any topic, right? And I'm sure there are some topics that I'm not going to get into now that maybe some of y'all would disagree with, but I really give it my 100% to be objective. And not just when I'm talking sports, but I try to be objective in everything in my life, right? I try to be guided by information. I try to be guided by logic and reason. And to the point that some people don't like that about me, but I really, I give it my all in terms of being that and doing that. So anyway, you will hear, one, that she's extremely biased in the way she presents her argument, and you will hear that she's emotional. Now, obviously, she's a woman. That's a feminine trait, so be it. But you will hear that she's quite emotional in the way that she presents this. I'm not saying that she's, crying on the mic, but you can definitely hear just in her vocal tones and et cetera, she's emotional. And also, you will hear that she's either deliberately misrepresenting his position, or you will hear that she is deliberately ignoring his biggest point. And you'll hear it, and I'll get into it as we go. But yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting. So one of the things before we get started with the interview that I wanted to touch on. What's up, Steve, man? It's good to see you, man. No, but one of the things that I wanted to touch on is in this particular topic, we keep hearing this argument that, and first we heard it from Rob Parker, and we heard it from a lot of other people, whether it's fans or sports pundits. We keep hearing this whole business of, who's first team All-Pro and doesn't win the MVP. Well, I have some names for you, since people love asking that question. And since y'all know me, y'all know I love to be prepared, right? Russell Wilson has been All-Pro. He was second team All-Pro, didn't win the MVP. Drew Brees has been first team All-Pro, didn't win the MVP. Warren Moon has been second team All-Pro, didn't win the MVP. Randall Cunningham has been first team All-Pro. Remember when he was with the Vikings and he was tearing it up with Jake Reed and young Randy Moss and Chris Carter, right? He didn't win the MVP, right? So that's just four names right there of elite quarterbacks who have been All-Pro and have not won the MVP. Now, we can go to other positions, but we know how that goes. But I'm keeping it to quarterback because more so it's now become a quarterback award. And the players in question in this particular day and age and in this particular season are both quarterbacks. So I'm keeping it there. But there have been other players, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, et cetera, who have been first team All-Pro and not won the MVP. So we have to stop pushing this narrative. Oh, so-and-so was first team All-Pro. How could they not be MVP? And we will get into that. But yeah, so we're definitely going to talk about it, and there's some other points that I will discuss as we go forward. But I guess it's about that time, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start the interview, and then, as I said, I will stop, give commentary, and then continue to go. So this will be a while, but buckle up for this one because I'm sure I'm going to say some things that the Baltimore fans don't like, but again, doing what I do and doing it the way I do it, I have to be objective. I have to be honest. And yeah, I'm about to give it to you the way only I can give it to you. Let's get it.
So let's start with this, Emanuel. And I think the biggest shock for not just Ravens fans, but I think it was the NFL world, was the fact that 30 voters voted for Lamar Jackson for the All-Pro. And so after that came out, it was like, oh, this probably means, this is a shoo-in for Lamar to win MVP. Yeah. You were one of, I think, 7 voters who kind of flipped that once the MVP vote came around. And then you voted for Josh Allen for MVP. Can you explain to the viewers why you flipped that? Because it's not just Baltimore, it was NFL wide that was shocking.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if that's just her normal vocal tone or what, but she already seems like she's verbally accosting him. Can you explain why you flipped that? Like, I don't know if that's just her tone. I don't know if she was just excited. I don't know if she's, approaching this in a certain way for her Baltimore fan base, her Raven fan base. Could be all of that, could be none of that. I'm not sure if it's maybe just the way I'm perceiving it, but it seems to me that already she's displaying that she's being emotional and less than rational about this particular topic. Now, remember one of the first things I said. What is the award that we're discussing here? We're discussing what? The MVP, most valuable player, right? Not the MVP, the most best player, not the MOP, as they do in the college basketball national championship tournament, most outstanding player, but the most valuable player. Let's go.
It was shocking because it was atypical, because there is what I would suggest a new authority in town. Let me try to educate this for those that are willing to listen. I became a voter 2 years ago. I voted for Lamar Jackson for MVP last year. Number one, I voted Josh Allen, number two, last. The head of the AP, I believe, took over 3 years ago. And since then, Sarah, it has now been directed and it has been made abundantly clear. All pro is for the person who had the best overall season. MVP is for the individual who had the most valuable season. Now.
All right. So let's make sure we listen to that, because she is going to continue to ignore throughout the course of this video, throughout the course, and you can watch this video on YouTube, but I'm going to play the whole thing. But she's going to continue to ignore throughout the course of this interview the fact that he just out of the gate explained it, right? That the head of the AP said what? First team all pro or all pro is for the person who had the best season, most valuable player, most valuable. I mean, it's right there in the acronym. MVP. It's right there in the acronym. Let's say it again. MVP, not MOP, not MBP, MVP, most valuable player. Let's go.
In the previous years of voting, I do not think that has been clarified. I also cannot speak to anybody who has voted outside of myself the last 2 years. So I believe that we have been trained into thinking whoever is all pro will be MVP, because that's the way it has historically gone based upon the governing bodies historically over the AP ballots, etc. But
so that was interesting too, right? So you hear what he says, right? So we've been trained, I guess, trained mentally that, okay, whoever's the first team all pro quarterback, that's the person who should get MVP. And that, again, that's not what even the name of the award is. I'm really lost as to why this is so difficult on people. Yes, Steve, you're right. Steve says demanding an explanation rather than seeking an understanding. Her tone says it all. Absolutely. Like it was, yeah, you heard it too. Okay, so it's not just me, but let's go on from here. So the very name of the award says it, right? So just the fact that the fact that, and he will discuss this, the fact that the award has been, I would say, improperly administered for a long time doesn't mean that you have to continue that way. But let's go on.
But the new governing body has made it abundantly clear that the two awards, they are separate and completely different entities. Let me offer another example. Last year, Joe Flacco won Comeback Player of the Year. It was told to us this year for clarity, Comeback Player of the Year award should not be given to somebody who came back from being sorry. It should be given to somebody who came back from being injured. Hence why Joe Burrow won it this year. Joe Flacco didn't come back from nothing last year. He just came back from the couch.
Interesting, right? So we can clearly differentiate and people can clearly understand the change in the way we administer the award of Comeback Player of the Year, but we can't understand the differentiation between first team all pro and most valuable player, right? So this goes to show that in many cases people hear and understand what they want to, no matter how clearly things are stated. And you'll hear me say this again and again throughout the course of this video. The very meaning is right there in the acronym most valuable player, not most outstanding, not MVP, not most best. I know most best is not grammatically correct, but you understand what I'm saying. Not most best, not most outstanding, most valuable. Let's continue to go on here.
never should have won it. So it was clarified to us. So it is very shocking both to analysts, to fans, to opinionists alike, because the way in which the votes occurred this year has been changed because it's a new governing body, if you will. I voted Lamar for first team All-Pro. I believe I voted Joe Burrow for second team All-Pro because their seasons were better. Statistically, they were better than Josh Allen. But that word better versus value to me is not semantics.
Okay, did you hear that? Did you hear what he said? That word, better versus value, is not semantics. I don't know why it would be, because I actually took the time to look this up, because you guys know I like looking things up. So let me grab it, drag it onto my other screen. So prior to getting started on this video, while I was doing my, cutting audio and doing my research and all that, right? I actually looked up some synonyms for valuable. Why did I look up synonyms for valuable? Because I want to prove to you that valuable does not equal best. Here are some synonyms for valuable: expensive, costly, precious, premium, extravagant, high, priceless, pricey, dear, luxurious, high-end, invaluable, pricey, spendy, big ticket, high ticket, steep, prohibitive, ultra expensive, ultra economical, inestimable, unreasonable, exorbitant, uneconomic, unaffordable, overpriced, deluxe, sumptuous, sky high, stiff. Now, I know a lot of that has to do with the economic definition of value, but there are, if you listened, there are some that have to do with, not necessarily relating to money. But the point I'm trying to make is, nowhere there, and by the way, if you're curious where I got those, I got them from Merriam-Webster's thesaurus, right? I'm very big on words as well. I'm a communication grad, as you all know. But yeah, nowhere there is the synonym, for valuable, best, right? Nowhere there is the synonym for valuable, best. So the fact that we've been doing it this way all this time just means we've been doing it wrong. But let's go forward.
Word has meaning. Again, for those that don't know, I'm a word snob. I've written 4 books in 4 years. I like words.
Okay, so he says, I'm a word snob. I've written 4 books in 4 years. So my guy G and I were debating about this earlier, right? And G says, well, why did he have to bring up that he's written 4 books? That shows he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm like, how does that show that he doesn't know what he's talking about? What that demonstrates is that he's telling you he understands the value of words. He understands that words have meaning for a reason, and he understands how to effectively employ said words. Words, think about this. If words didn't have a meaning, and I've talked about this before on this show, if words didn't have a meaning, we wouldn't have dictionaries, and realistically, we could just throw whatever word we want in whatever place, and it would mean whatever at that moment, right? So we have to understand that there is a reason that words are defined, right? And that's why I brought it up. I looked up the synonyms. Valuable in no way is equivalent to best. Valuable and best are not the same thing. So again, you're going to hear Acho talk about it more as we go, but valuable and best aren't the same thing. And you're going to hear me again as we go through this video. I'm going to seemingly get repetitive to you, but there's a reason why. Let's go.
So better and value, they just mean different things to me. Last thing I'll say is this: if you think Lamar Jackson is more valuable, you have every right to do so. Just make sure you think he is more valuable, not that you think he's better. Not you, Sarah, the proverbial you.
Yeah.
All right, so let me make this clear. Lamar Jackson is better. He had the better season. He's the better player. That's not the argument here. The argument is, was he more valuable this season? I have no problem whatsoever admitting that Lamar Jackson is better than Josh Allen, because he is. I have no problem whatsoever admitting that Lamar Jackson had the better season this past season than Josh Allen, because he did, right? He beat him in just about all the major statistical quarterback categories, right? As we talked about, he's the first guy ever with more than 40 touchdowns, 4,000 yards passing, and less than 5 interceptions. Another record, right? Another one for the record books. And I think the only person who could probably top that might be himself, right? And so when you look at that, there's no argument that Lamar is the better guy here, but it keeps getting back to the same thing: better versus valuable. Let's carry on. Let's hear now what Sarah Ellison has to say in response to Lamar Jackson's opening salvo. Not Lamar Jackson, Emanuel Acho's opening salvo. Sorry.
Yeah, no, well, that's interesting because, I mean, there's a lot of different directions we could go. First of all, it seemed to me that many voters, they can say it's most valuable, but to most voters, it still meant best.
Yeah.
Okay. I really want to assume that this woman is educated. I do. I want to assume that she's educated. And so, one, she's still trying to conflate valuable and best. That's already out the window. And now what she's trying to do is shift that onto the voters, right? Well, it should still be valuable, and valuable should still mean best. She knows better. I think she is deliberately ignoring what he already began to put out there and what he'll get back to.
It still meant best. I mean, Tom Brady still picked him. You heard the, when ESPN was arguing about it with Dominic Foxworth and Dan Orlovsky, because he took the same view as you, and they think it's semantics. And so I would say the AP.
So she just said they think it's semantics. One of the first things Acho said in this interview was, it's not semantics. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what she's being disingenuous here. She's being disingenuous. Like, G told me basically that she handed him his lunch in this interview. I heard the exact opposite. I think she got handled, but let's go on.
Or, I mean, you're putting it on the AP with definitions. So I would put it on them if that's what they did. I also put it on those that kind of flip. To me, this is a situation where we're overthinking the words.
Overthinking the words. So what do you want us to do? Do you want us to just make words mean whatever we want them to mean at any given time? What is she talking about, overthinking the words? This is really annoying. It is ridiculous. I'll say it again. There is a reason words have definitions. Her argument right now is nonsensical, man. And we'll go on. We'll hear some more of what she has to say.
Like, it's like, if you look back on history, that's clearly what people have been voting on. And it's clearly has an impact on the Hall of Fame and the legacies that people get.
Okay, so it was interesting that she said here, it clearly has an impact on the Hall of Fame and the legacies that people get. And that's true. But here's the deal, though, right? If you make multiple All-Pros, chances are you're going to get into the Hall of Fame, even if, you miss out on a couple MVPs. But here's the other deal, right? She's bringing this up as if Lamar Jackson is not already a lock for the Hall of Fame by being a two-time MVP winning quarterback. There's no quarterback in NFL history that has won 2 regular season MVPs and is not in the Hall of Fame. So here we go again. Another argument that she makes down the tubes. She's failing miserably so far. And I'll tell you what, it almost seems to me like Acho is just being, he's being kind because he could easily dismantle her right now. Like, if I'm debating her on this, which obviously I'm not, I would have a pen and a pad and I would be dismantling all this nonsense she's kicking. But let's go for it.
And so whether it's you as a voter or Dan Orlovsky as a voter or the others that changed it or the AP saying it, like, we've just gotten too cute. To me, it's the equivalent of the Philadelphia Eagles get to the 1, and instead of doing the tush push, they try to throw a pass. Like, what are we doing here? Take the tush push. It's right there. We all know that's the best way to score. You're like overthinking the situation. And that's what I think has happened here.
Let me ask you a question, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would suggest, are we overthinking it or are we thinking about it accurately? What I mean is, like, just because people have done it wrong before, does that mean that you, Sarah, should do it wrong? Or say it was right before, but now it's been clarified that we're changing it. Should we not adjust with the times? Laws change every single day. We used to not wear seatbelts. Now you do wear seatbelts. Laws in the NFL change. Used to not be able to hit a receiver defensively, or you used to be able to hit them. Now you can't. So all governing bodies and governances are always changing. Again, I can't speak to anybody who voted prior to 2022, but Sarah, I could not continue in ignorance just because people before me are ignorant. That's just not the way I approach life itself. So though I'm not saying that you're right. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying I understand where you're coming from. And well, this is how it's always been. But if everybody does that, am I supposed to do it even if I know it's wrong just because it's what everybody else does? That's what I would ask you.
Yes. And I think
So you see how easily and how calmly he dismantled her. Now, again, I don't know if she's just a passionate person when she speaks. I've seen her do other episodes of the show, and I don't remember her being this impassioned about it. Maybe this particular topic has her up in arms. And again, maybe she's playing the role to make sure she is well felt and well enjoyed by Baltimore Raven fans or people in Baltimore. I think maybe that's pretty important as well. She doesn't want to lose her job by not appearing to be a homer. I'm sure that's got something to do with it. Shout out Laker Nation. Appreciate you being here, man. Real quick, what is she talking about? Basically, she is, her name is Sarah Ellison. She's the host of the Vault podcast about Ravens football. And she was going back and forth with Emanuel Acho on Twitter, or X, whatever you call it. I guess it's X. She was going back and forth with him about his vote for Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson as league MVP in the NFL this year. And so she invited him onto the show. So he came onto the show. And I was just talking about how easily he's dismantling her while she seems to be quite emotional. Carry on.
You should have. No, and here's why. I'm not just saying. I'm saying like you.
By the way, did you hear that? When he asked the simple question, and this is, I'm not going to say anything misogynistic here, but this is this is her being illogical. And I'm going to leave it at that. This is her being extremely illogical when he just asked, should I continue to be ignorant just because people in the past were ignorant? And she answered, yes, you should. Now she's going to try to couch it with some other foolishness, but she answered, yes, I should. Yes, he should. Yeah, that's not logical, but let's go on.
You should have pushed back. And here's why. You should change your show, because you guys, just like us, talk every single week about who's MVP.
What does that have to do with anything? Okay, they talk every single week about who's MVP. What does that have to do with her misguided view on what an MVP is? They can talk about it every week if they want to, and that's fine. It's a great topic. We talked about it multiple times during the NFL season. But what does that have to do with him properly evaluating, once again, the acronym itself, most valuable player, and not evaluating it as the best player in the league? I really don't understand this. Maybe I'm the one that's slow. Maybe I'm not getting something here. Somebody help me out. Chat, am I the one that got this wrong?
Because you know that historically MVP meant it was the best player and it has an impact on legacy. So every single week, you guys went in and you guys debated who was going to be MVP. You did not debate who was going to be first team All-Pro, and neither did we, because we know the significance of what that is. So if the AP is in here and they're trying to change the definition, okay, then everything that you change needs to follow along with it.
Wait, the AP did not change a definition. They clarified it because clearly people have been going about this the wrong way for quite some time. They didn't change anything. What is she not getting about the most valuable player award? What is she not getting?
It needs to be that now we don't put on a pedestal the MVP, we put on the pedestal the All-Pro. And now we say, oh, this quarterback in this era had 4 All-Pros, and in this quarterback in this era had 4 MVPs, but they're equivalent, because that is absolutely, it meant best player for decades. And for some governing body to come in and change precedent without telling the whole entire NFL world, rather than some obscure emails or phone calls that are happening backdoor, that doesn't seem to have gotten to all the MVP voters. Yes, I think you should have pushed back, Acho.
So wait a minute. Why does the whole NFL world need to be notified? Apparently, only the voters need to be notified. That's who needs to know, right? And she can assume that it didn't get to all the MVP voters. Why didn't it? Because they didn't vote the way she wanted them to vote, or because they voted the way she wanted them to vote? That just means that I'm sure they all received it, but how about this? Maybe there's some of them, right? Some of the MVP voters that just wanted to continue doing it how they've always done it. That doesn't mean they didn't receive the notification. Come on, man. All right, let's go.
Well, here's where I did push back. I pushed back for clarity. I do a lot of homework. I always did a lot of homework. I was never the most talented athlete. I just prided myself in working the hardest and in trying to uplift intelligence. I asked him a couple things. I said, hey, can you split votes? And I asked the head of the AP, can you split votes? Like, could I vote Lamar and Josh as co-1? And he said, no, you can't vote as co-1s. But if they tie, they can share the award. So I was like, okay, can't do that. Then I also asked, I said, hey, send me the definition of what I'm voting. So, Sarah, I did push back.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? He asked, it's not that serious. What's good, my main man? How are you, man? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Now, did y'all hear that? He asked, send me the definition of what I'm voting for. Now, remember my rant earlier in this show? Definition, right? And remember when I rattled off all those synonyms for valuable? Remember that? Right. So he asked because, big brain energy, right? That's what they say. But no, he asked, send me the definition of what I'm voting for. And so now we're upset at him because he got the official definition of what the award is supposed to be, and he voted in concert with that, or he voted in what he believed, in a way that he believed to be in concert with that definition. I'm missing something. Help me out.
My pushback just didn't lend itself in Lamar's favor this year, whereas last year it did. It also didn't lend itself in Lamar's favor for MVP, whereas it did for All-Pro. Obviously, we esteem MVP, to your point, more than we esteem All-Pro. I push back on Comeback Player of the Year. So where I disagree with you or even challenge you is I did push back. I just didn't get the answer that you wanted me to get. But like, I did a lot of homework as it pertains to, hey, clarify this for me. Hey, clarify this for me. Hey, why are we doing this? I asked every question I needed to ask, and then I did my own homework. I did my own research, and that's why I feel very confident in my decision.
All right. So I like what he had to say there, but I don't know. I think it's interesting that he clarified what he was supposed to be voting on. He clarified as much of the criteria as he could possibly get, especially being as there's at least no publicly stated criteria for the MVP award. And so he tried to go, again, in concert with that. By the way, something I want to push back on. So she's saying how, we don't look at MVP and first team all NFL the same way. No, we don't. But first team all pro, that is a serious thing to get. Now, if you're saying Pro Bowl, okay, I got you. But first team all pro, that's legitimate. I think Lamar's got maybe 3 or 4 of those now, right? But yeah, so why is she trying to denigrate a first team all pro selection? What I'm thinking is she's trying to denigrate that in order to lift up the MVP and to make it look even more so like Lamar was robbed and he was done wrong by Acho and those who voted in the same way as Acho in terms of voting Josh Allen MVP.
Because like I posted, I just went back and watched everything I believe of significance. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, so yeah, just the last question I have here. You're saying this new regime came in a couple years ago, and correct me if I'm wrong. I know this because our audience keeps sending me information. It's hard. It's like not just me who's debating you. I promise you, our audience is trying to send me stuff. But Brock Purdy versus Lamar last year before the Christmas game.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy had Deebo Samuel. He had Christian McCaffrey, Ayuk, all that. I mean, incredible supporting cast.
Yeah.
And prior to that game, you said if he wins this game, I'm going to give it. I mean, Purdy has the lead. That was what your position was at the time. Lamar ended up winning, and he outplayed everybody on that field. So I know why you voted the way you did there. But my question is why didn't this new definition that came in prior to 2023, why didn't that hurt Brock Purdy in your eyes when he had a superb supporting cast?
Last year, I would suggest it did hurt Brock Purdy. I didn't vote Brock Purdy first or second for MVP. I think I may have voted Brock Purdy for 5th or 4th. I'll go back and check.
Going into December 25th, you were ready to, despite the supporting cast.
Because a couple things. Number one, I love the Niners. I watch the Niners because I got friends. D'Amico Ryans, my former teammate, was an old DC, so I just used to be a super fan of the Niners because I'm a fan of my friends. I don't really care for teams. I care for my friends. Respect. It's a couple things. Number one, the way the Niners offense was rolling and the way they look and Brock Purdy's numbers along with the rec. So had a great cast, all of the things, but he looked great. Converse, Jalen Hurts this year, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Great cast, but his numbers were still kind of they don't look all that great. Brock Purdy was different. Brock Purdy's numbers were like that. Though his team was like that, his numbers were like that. When Lamar stepped on that field, Lamar embarrassed Fred Warner. When Lamar embarrassed Fred, that's when I said, you know what? I said, hey, he MVP. And I love one player in the National Football League. It's Fred Warner. That's the only one I actually.
Hey, he's my guy. He went to BYU. He's my guy. Yeah.
Only one I love. When Lamar embarrassed Fred, that's when I said, you know what? He's different. He's different. It wasn't even about Brock. Brock threw 2 bad picks. I think he threw 5. 3 of them were tipped. The one he threw to Kyle Hamilton, I think was cover 4 in the end zone. That was hey, bad play, Brock. He threw another bad pick. But it was about how good and how valuable Lamar looked in that game. Cut to this year. Lamar did beat Josh head to head.
All right, a couple things, right? So one, and I got to be objective here, I do not like the fact that Acho said out here that, and I feel like this damages his credibility, that he was looking at Purdy for MVP because he likes the 49ers because D'Amico Ryans is his friend and Fred Warner is one of his favorite players. you can't say stuff like that because it damages your credibility, right? It makes you look less than objective. And that was one of the things that I was kind of hanging my hat on earlier was, the fact that he had been to that point pretty objective in his discussion. Now he's going to get back to being objective, but I think that was not the best thing for him to say. And I wasn't happy about it at all. Next, when we talk about the head-to-head, whether it was Lamar Jackson and Brock Purdy or this year, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, why do we talk about that in football as if Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson can play against one another, right? I was talking to G about this earlier, and I was like, this is not basketball where if I'm playing against Transformer, right, and we got a rivalry and we're both in the running for an award, I could say, yo, I got him, right? And I could strap up and I can get down in the crouch and I can try to lock him up, or I can try to drop 30 on him, and you can clearly see who's better. So I'm not sure why we go head-to-head with two offensive players who can't directly play against one another or cannot directly influence what the other does in said game. That's kind of weird to me. I don't really get that.
I think it was week 4. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
But when I went back and I watched that game first, remember Derrick Henry, 87 yards to the crib. Now, I'm not punishing him. I'm just using context. Again, I'm a defender. I look at the game defensively. So after Derrick Henry goes 87 yards to the crib, instantly the Buffalo Bills, they completely adjust. Now they go from 2 high, screw this. We shift them down to 1 high. Lamar made 3 special plays in that game. Josh made 2 special plays in that game. I went back, I rewatched the game, plays that I deem as special through the lens of a defender.
So let me stop it right here. Again, objectivity. I watched that game when it happened. I have not gone back to watch it. So let me be, honest and forthright about that. I don't recollect any special plays from Josh Allen in that game. Now, he says he watched it through the lens of a defender. I can never be that. So if that's what he says, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt on it. But I'll say I don't recollect Josh Allen doing much of anything that was special in that game. I remember Baltimore monkey stomping Buffalo in that game. I don't remember too much that was special, but we will go on.
So though the Ravens beat the brakes off of the Bills, Lamar didn't run 10,000 laps around Josh. Lamar outplayed Josh, but he didn't murder Josh, whereas Lamar ran 10,000 laps around Purdy. I mean, every lap that you could run around Purdy, respectfully, unfortunately for Brock. I like Brock Purdy. Lamar did that. I also contextualized it. It was a lot of things happened after the week 4 or 5 game between the Ravens and the Bills. So it was truly close for me. That word value, though, is where it differs.
So define.
Okay, so real quick, let's do this now. I wanted to take a second to answer this question from Laker Nation. I got to be careful how I answer this. So he says, why do they always go at Acho? Others say some idiotic things and never get attacked like Acho always gets. Why is that? So, all right, here's the deal. I'm not going to get too far into this because this is not really my lane. This is not a political show. However, Acho was born and raised in the United States, right? But he's a Nigerian American. And so that presents him with a unique lens through which he can view American life and African Americans and the way he can think, right? Why do I know this? I know this because I was born in the United States, born and raised in the United States. Both of my parents and my wife are immigrants from Guyana, South America, right? And as such, I'm kind of, again, like Acho, in the unique position of being an outsider and an insider at the same time. So it allows me to see things through a different lens. And unfortunately, there are many African Americans who expect that all Black people in this country should look at things the same, should always rep for the Black person, should always think the same and always be on the same page. And because Acho can see things from a different lens that some of them, many of them, are unable to, they attack him because they can't understand why he sees certain things the way he sees them. And that becomes an issue of, an entirely different issue. I believe that is why Acho gets attacked the way he does. So I hope that answers it. I'm not going to get too much deeper into it than that, but I hope that answers it succinctly. All right, let's get back to the commentary. Let's get back to Sarah Ellison. Now she's going to respond to Acho.
So in your mind, since you got this new thing that it means that it does not mean best, what, in like a simple phrase, what did value mean to you?
All right, so she's trying to do it again. Do you see what she's doing? And it's really irritating me, right? I'm trying to stay calm here, but I'm really irritated because what she's trying to do, she's continually trying to downplay the fact that he has a legitimate argument when it comes to value, when it comes to the AP, right? Who chooses, or who's basically, basically the steward of the MVP award, right? Again, MVP, most valuable. I don't know why we have to continue to say this, but she keeps putting us in a position where we have to continue to state this, and we have to continue to emphasize it, that it's valuable. Now, she, presumably an educated woman, is now asking what is valuable. Really? You're asking what is valuable? You see, she knows her position is untenable. That's why she's going all around the bush to try and come up with all this foolishness, because she's arguing just to argue, but she's in a position where she has to. So yeah, let's go on.
Value to me means how dependent is the team on you exclusively for success.
Yeah, so
Mind
this
you,
isn't even something to celebrate anymore then. I can't celebrate that. It's like who's the best player on the worst team with the best record? Like nearly a good record. You know what I mean? It's not even like who cares who wins that award then?
So what she's saying now is, if we define the award utilizing the actual verbiage in the title of the award, you can't celebrate it. You can't celebrate the player who wins it. What type of nonsensical arguments is this woman trying to make? This is absolutely absurd. She makes the argument that because the meaning of the word valuable, it's not to be celebrated. What is she talking about?
That's all it means.
I mean,
for real though, like why should we esteem that if that's the definition?
I think I don't think we'll run into this problem a lot. I don't think we will, because remember, Lamar had a uniquely superb year. Not uniquely, because he was superb in 2019 as well. Lamar had a superb year. Josh did some things that you just don't see happen often. He did some things you don't see it. You truly don't see it. So I also think we're irate over something that won't occur very often. And again,
but that doesn't mean much to Baltimore fans, because 3 MVPs is probably a Hall of Fame lock.
Did you hear that? So now she's exposed herself that what she's doing is being deliberately disingenuous. Why? Because she's playing to the fan base. That doesn't mean much to Baltimore fans. We get it. But now we know that she's being disingenuous. It is so easy to destroy this woman here. Her argument is terrible. It's poorly framed. It's poorly prepared. It's she's at a point here where she just has to act as if she doesn't hear what's being said in order to argue for the sake of arguing. This is poor. And you're right. I think Laker Nation said he's great at keeping his composure and staying professional. He is, but I think he should have gone a little harder. I think he should have completely dismantled her, but I think he was trying to be kind, being that it's not his platform. Let's see. Edward says, we know, Bruce, you got that East Coast accent, B. I'm not really following what. We know what. What is that? What does that have to do with anything? But let's go on.
Two's a Hall of Fame lock. Everybody with two's a lock too. I mean, Lamar's a Hall of Famer already. He's a lock. Now,
remember what I said earlier. Now she's trying to make the argument, Baltimore fans are not happy because three MVPs would make him a Hall of Fame lock. But that's funny. All season long, the Baltimore fans in this chat and on this show have been telling me that he's already a Hall of Famer, which he likely is, because as I mentioned, there's no quarterback with 2 regular season MVP awards that's not in the Hall of Fame in NFL history. So just saying. So now, not only are we being disingenuous, now not only are we acting like we don't hear what he's saying, we're selectively ignoring. Now we're also moving the goalpost. This is amazing what this woman is doing. This is Steve, stop doing that. Stop reading my mind, man. No, she's absolutely reading the goalpost.
That does not mean he should not have won. Like, I got upset when my co-host Chase Daniel, he's not a voter Ravens fan, so relax. When my co-host Chase Daniel was like, yeah, but Lamar already has 2, so I'm sure there's voter fatigue. I said, to hell with that.
Yeah.
I said, to hell with that. Just because he got 2 does not mean he should not win this one. To hell with that. I only looked at this year. I exclusively looked at this year.
Agreed.
Josh was just more valuable.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Again, like if that's the definition, then it's just not to be celebrated. And I would like you to give that, if you would. And my suggestion would be to push back with that. Like, what are we celebrating here then?
Again, what does this celebration have to do with anything? I would really like. This is where I'm also kind of frustrated with Acho. Like, why didn't he hop in there and say, "Look, hold on a second, excuse me. What does being celebrated have to do with anything here?" But all right, I'm not going to say what I was about to say. Let's go forward.
What are we celebrating if it's not the best player? This is what we do. We want to see who wins. We want to see who has the best outcome. Like, we want to see an obvious winner. We celebrate success. We celebrate not like who has the worst team. And then all season long, and Emanuel, what was like sick to me is that the two fan bases started debating and trashing their quarterback's own teammates, right? And so it's like Cook got cooked by his own fan base to, you know what I mean? To like, and I wasn't going to do that to Derrick Henry, right? And then so like, and then it's like, then you start to like pick and choose based off of hypotheticals with this new nebulous definition, right? So then you're like, okay, well, let's.
Okay, hold on now. Now she says, and here we go with her being disingenuous again. Now we start to pick and choose based off of this new nebulous definition. Do we know what nebulous means? Like, nebulous is unsolid, floating, constantly changing. Really? The definition of valuable is now nebulous? Come on, man. Come on. And see, this is why he referenced the fact that he's a word snob. He wrote 4 books in 4 years, because clearly she might need to read some, because this is absurd, the stuff that she's saying now. Now the definition of valuable is nebulous. You got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me.
See, Derrick Henry's better than Cook, even though they both had 16 touchdowns, but Derrick Henry had double the yards, and obviously he's a future Hall of Famer, so I'm not going to sit here and trash him. And then you like look over to the defense, and every single time, and I know not everybody uses stats, but I think the tape bore this out, every single time Lamar Jackson played below an MVP level, and this is according to the numbers that Mike Sando, a fellow MVP voter, put together. Every time Lamar Jackson did not play at an MVP level, the Ravens were 0-5. When he played at an MVP level and above, the Ravens were undefeated.
Now, that is a good argument. I will give that argument. However, see, this is where now, me being a Ravens fan and having watched these games, now we also have to take into account, see, this is what she wants to do. And this, unfortunately, is what many Ravens fans do and what many Lamar Jackson fans do. It's a weird thing. It's not as bad, but it's almost like LeBron fans. Like, Lamar Jackson is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And again, he's absolutely incredible. No question about it. But it's weird to me that he, unlike other quarterbacks, somehow managed to get all the credit, right? But they don't want him to have any of the blame. When you're that great, when you make that much money, when you play that position, you got to get both sides. You got to get the blame. You got to get the praise. That's how that goes. But if you notice, right, there's always an excuse when Lamar doesn't win. But every other quarterback, when they don't get it done, they get blasted. I can't figure out how this is working. That's just so odd to me, man. But I guess it is what it is. But she's interesting. She's interesting. So, yeah, we'll go forward here.
The defense did not have his back for 10 weeks of the season. Then they started getting better, but they still weren't like balling out.
Okay, so that's fair. For a good portion of the season, the defense was really ranked low, was giving up a ton of points, was giving up a lot of passing yards, but they got it fixed. And again, this is what we also have to realize. If we're honest here, how many not Hall of Famers, how many Pro Bowlers did the Buffalo Bills have? How many Pro Bowlers? Do we know? I know. They had one. And guess who it was? Josh Allen. How many did Baltimore have? How many did they have? 8. That sounds like having a lot to work with. Does that mean Lamar didn't have an incredible season? Of course not. That's why he's first team All-Pro, because he had an incredible, phenomenal, record-breaking, historically great season. That also doesn't mean that he's guaranteed and locked in for the MVP, the most valuable player. Let's keep going.
Justin Tucker single-handedly missed 7 points of field goals in that Eagles game. And
Great
the Ravens
point there.
lost by
Great point.
5. And so it was like, then I remember you in week 1 had criticized the Ravens. I think it was like week 1 or 2 saying that they didn't have an offensive identity, and they didn't. No, they were working through. You didn't criticize, but you projected about how losing a DC was going to hurt. Losing your top pass rusher was going to hurt. Losing your starting Pro Bowl linebacker was going to hurt. Your interceptions leader was going to hurt. But nobody wanted to talk about that all year long. It was only that Josh Allen lost his receiver.
All right, so let me Edward, thank you for the heads up. I think Dawson. I think you're right, Dawson. So they had 2. Still, that's not 8, right? But yes, they had 2 Pro Bowlers, Josh Allen and Dawson. I can't remember his first name, but yeah, you're right. So thank you for correcting me on that one. I appreciate you, Edward. All right, let's go on.
Which is a big loss. But it's like, then you just start picking and choosing which context you want to bring for this new weird definition.
Here she goes again. Here she goes again, right? Denigrating the definition. Like, I know she's been to school. I know she's at the very least completed high school. We all learned how to use dictionaries around what, 1st or 2nd grade? What's so weird about the definition? We got to stop this. We have to stop this. No, please don't do that, Steve. Please don't do that.
But here's where I don't push back, because most people who know me, like, I like to listen, learn other people's ideology. I really get that upset. If I do, I'm probably just like trying to make TV. Here's where, like, I would submit, like, for anybody watch, there's 50 voters, and there's 50 voters with different levels of experience, which I think is a beautiful thing. You could argue that it's not. Some people suggest, man, every voter should only be a Hall of Famer. Y'all do realize most Hall of Famers don't work really hard anymore because they're already Hall of Famers. Like, the hardest working people are usually like backups because, like, they've always had to work hard. Or most voters should only be coaches. There's some sorry coaches out there. I know. Or like, so here's what I say that to say this. I voted based upon my experience as a defender in the NFL, a defender collegiately, a defender that was in the same room as current head coaches, that was on a team led by Tom Coughlin when I was on Praquad, that was on a team led by the Chip Kellys, that was on a team led by, so I vote from a defensive mind. Truth be told, Sarah, I don't really look at a ton of stats because I look at the tape, because I that's what I've never been in a defensive meeting room and my coach said, hey, the EPA of this player is this. I'm not going to undermine it. If that's how you get down, whoever you are, get down like, but I've never been in a meeting room and a coach said, hey, got to watch out for this quarterback today. His passer rating is 127.9. Nah, my coach turns on tape. So I, as one of 50, turn on tape. I'm not going to chastise the person who can't turn on tape. Like, there's some voters who I know for certain they can't tell you the route. There's some voters I know for certain they could not drop a cover 4 defense out of a 3-4 or a 4-3. But they vote, and they vote based on stats. So sometimes stats lend you to an answer. Tape lent me to my answer.
So this was interesting, right? This was another thing that G and I were debating on when we were discussing this earlier, right? So G is kind of holding to, one of the things he was holding to was Acho saying that he doesn't look at a ton of stats. And realistically, yes, stats are important. What do I always say statistics are? A numerical representation of what actually took place during a given game, right? During a given sporting event. Stats are important. However, we can't just go there. I do like the fact that Acho says, I'm not just, some nerd pulling out stat sheets, right? He's also saying, well, I'm sure he looks at stats. He didn't say I don't look at stats. He said I don't look at a ton of stats. But he also says I watch the tape, right? And there's value in that, right? Because to the point that he's making right now, I couldn't watch the tape and analyze and break down the tape the same way he does, right? I'll see some stuff, but obviously he has a much better and a trained eye in terms of what he's looking for when he watches the tape. Now, that said, for me, I'll watch the tape. I'll look at the stats. I'll put them kind of together. That'll be my amalgam of where I come from. But clearly, based on his experience, again, as a defensive player, what happens is the tape weighs more to him than the stats do. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but like he said, I can't denigrate someone if that's their methodology for evaluating the player and how they will end up voting.
Not degrade the person who can't break down tape. I won't, just because that doesn't serve. Now, I do look kind of funny, like, and you voting on MVP, but you don't even know if Lamar made the right read on that play. It just worked out. You don't even know if Josh made the right read on them. You don't even know that this was an 80-yard touchdown because it was a busted coverage. You don't even know what coverage they were in to have busted the coverage. So I just know it's a wide variety of voters. I vote from my lens. Not saying my lens is right, not saying their lens is wrong, but that's the beauty of having 50 different votes.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that for sure. Like, you need to bring I'm sure they selected you and Mike Sando for 2 different reasons so that they could have the diversity of the way of looking at the game.
No, she does not respect that. We've heard her say through this entire interview, not in so many words, but through her other words, that she does not respect the way that he made his choice and evaluated his MVP selection. No, now she's lying. Now she's being flat out, not even being disingenuous. She's lying. She made it clear she doesn't respect it, but now she's saying she does. Come on, man.
And so, but what I guess I was getting at with those stats, just because it becomes more punchy, and it becomes easier to articulate. But I would guess that when you watch that Eagles game, you see what we saw with the stats. You saw that Justin Tucker blew it. You saw when the Ravens played the Browns that the defense couldn't stop. Who was it during that game? Was it still Deshaun? No, it was Winston. They made Winston look like an all-pro again, that he had just like resurrected his career. And then the Ravens all-pro Kyle Hamilton drops the game-winning pick. Mm-hmm. And you go back to the Raiders loss, which everybody was holding against Lamar and Lamar only. You saw what was happening with that offensive line, that they were rotating the rookie in at right tackle, and Daniel Fa'alele, a converted right tackle to right guard, was getting eaten alive by Max Crosby. Like, you saw those things. And so I say the stat because it's easier to communicate, but I know you saw that on film. I know you did.
1,000%. But I went back and I rewatched the Raiders game. And if I'm not mistaken, again, I got to cover 32 teams in several sports, so you probably know better than me. But if I'm not mistaken, there were 3 consecutive possessions where the Ravens, I don't think, not only did they not get points, they may have only gotten 1 first down. I think it was the last, 3 of the last 4 possessions of the game. And that was the difference. Because when you watch tape, unfortunately, you don't get to hear anything. You just see the score flash up, and then you see the score flash up again. And it was 24 to 14, then 24 to 17, then 24 to 24. Then and it was yo, Ravens offense, you got to do something, because every time I'm hitting neck, the score is changing. Mm-hmm. And so when I watched that game, that's when I was just dang, Lamar, your defense isn't helping you, but this is one of those positions where it's just go get a first down and stop this nonsense.
So did you hear that, right? So he's talking about how the defense of the Ravens, that was early on in the season when it wasn't playing well, but he's talking about how Lamar she wants him to be MVP, right? So Lamar, if he's at that point, he's supposed to make the play that's going to at least extend out this game and not give these guys the ball back, right? It's kind of like when I talked about Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago against Kansas City, when he left a lot of plays on the field. And it wasn't to denigrate Lamar or take shots at him, but he left plays on the field. And when you're that great, right, and when you're an MVP caliber player and a former MVP, you're supposed to make those plays. And that's what he's saying. He says 3 out of the last 4 possessions, they didn't even get a first down. So that means, they're basically going 3 and out and putting a defense that's not playing well and likely fatigued right back out there on the field. And we saw what the end result of that was. But guess what? Because she has a role to play here, right? And she's clearly a Ravens fan, right? Who is not objective, because again, I am a Ravens fan, but what? I'm objective. She can't give Lamar both the credit and the criticism. She can't do it. So she has to find a place to push that criticism elsewhere. And unfortunately, it's the same thing we see with another guy. But let's go on.
Just stop the BS, go get a first down and end it. I don't know. I mean, I think it was close. People who think Lamar was the MVP, I'm not all up in arms, because I'm dude, you're not wrong. You're not.
And to be clear, I can obviously Josh had a sensational season. I just feel like Lamar did stuff that has never been done before. And I think he did it against tougher competition. Yeah.
So let me stop this, right? So let me say this. I would not have been upset if Lamar Jackson won the MVP either. No issue there. What I am saying, from my perspective, I also don't have an issue that Josh Allen won it. So either way is fine with me. Now, doing stuff never been done before. Absolutely, just phenomenal. What was the other point I was going to make? Hold on, let me back this up because it slipped me that fast. Pardon me.
Yeah.
And I got to go soon just because my voice.
Sorry about that. Let me back it up.
I think he did it against tougher competition.
Yes, tougher competition. So here's the deal. Yes, Lamar on the whole clearly had a much tougher schedule, right? Because he was in the AFC Championship game the year prior. So automatically that means you're going to have a tougher schedule. That's one. 2, here's the other point about the tougher schedule. While that may be true, right? We can say, okay, the Bills had an easy schedule. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Josh Allen and the Bills beat both of the best teams in football all year, right? They beat the Chiefs when the Chiefs were undefeated, went to Buffalo, they beat them. And then they beat Detroit when Detroit was undefeated. So for all the talk about, okay, they didn't, they played a weaker schedule, which they did again. But, you're going to have a tougher schedule if you're Baltimore because you went to the AFC title game. That's how that goes, right? Better teams, tougher schedule the previous year. But Josh Allen, despite all of that, and having less weapons than Lamar, and having less Pro Bowlers than Lamar, beat both of the undefeated teams in the league, one from each conference. We're just going to ignore that too, huh? See, this is what I'm talking about. She's disingenuous, and I really think Acho is taking it very easy on her here, again, because this is her platform. And it would be so easy to dismantle all this nonsense, but, you know, he's being a nice guy on this. Let's go on.
Yeah.
And I got to go soon just because my voice.
I know you do.
Sure y'all gotta go. Doing stuff that's never been done before. This isn't a Lamar thing in general. I don't think that makes you MVP. I think that makes it dope. That makes it super cool.
I think it makes you the best.
Impressive, but I don't think it makes it you the MVP. Like, I used to hate Russell Westbrook. I don't know if you're familiar with basketball at all, but like, first guy to average a triple-double in a season since Oscar Robinson. Okay. Then he did it again the next year. Okay. Then Sarah, he did it again 2 years later, 3 out of 4 years. Cool. It made him the MVP once, but just because you did something that's never been done before, I'm like, yo, that's cool. That's incredibly impressive. But like, it doesn't make you the MVP. It makes you the most impressive. It makes you the coolest. It makes you the most unique.
Or the best this year. I mean, come on, when you have the 4th best ever passer rating and you're known to be a dual threat quarterback, when you have the best touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history, that makes you the best.
You see, she's doing it again. He's explaining about value, and she keeps going right back to it. She will not let go. She's like a pit bull when they get a grab and they lock that jaw, right? They get a grab on something and lock the jaw. She keeps saying it over and over. She will not let go. It makes you the best. It makes you the best. It makes you the best. Okay, cool. That still isn't the most valuable in this particular case. The best, the best, the best. That's why he's first team All-NBA. That doesn't mean he's the MVP. I don't know what she's not getting about this. But again, I really want to hope that she's just playing a role here for the Baltimore fans. I really do, because she's doing a very poor job of defending them. It's bad.
That's why.
I just want to hear you say it. Who is the best quarterback?
Tell me.
Okay.
But that was obvious by my All-Pro vote.
Well, you should have voted for MVP, in my opinion.
You hear this? I just want to hear you say it. Who's the best quarterback? And he said it, Lamar. Just like I said it, Lamar. Just like everybody who watched the NFL last year, Lamar Jackson was the best quarterback. That has nothing to do with what Acho's been trying to explain for like the last 20 minutes, right? This is absurd. But you know, she's doing what they do. She's not trying to listen. She's not trying to understand. She's not trying to learn. She just wants to hear what she wants to hear. There's no way around that.
You should have done it. You should have done it, Acho. I got love for you, but you should have done it. Just like Tom Brady and those other guys who are like, what are you talking about? MVP, best player.
Yeah, I got to run, but this has been good.
Hey, can I ask one before you jump?
Talk to me.
Sorry, Bobby.
Because we haven't talked. No. This was your debate. I just wanted to get your thought on. We haven't talked strength of schedule at all. And I think down the stretch, I want to know how that went into your consideration, if at all, because obviously the AFC East can't hold a candle in recent years, particularly this past season, to the AFC North. And being that Josh's final act was against teams that didn't make the postseason, whereas Lamar dismantled the Texans on Christmas Day. You beat Pittsburgh, you beat Cleveland to close out the year, and while Josh won 3 in a row as well. I'm sorry, they actually lost. Josh didn't play in the regular season finale, as you know, against New England, but prior it was New England in New York. How much did that go into your consideration, if any at all?
It did, but here was the dilemma. I can't punish a guy who's already finished his work early. Like, I can't punish Josh for not playing in week 18. He took a snap and then he chilled, but I'm like, I can't deduct Josh. So Lamar, you're going to have to go retroactively jump what Josh did versus the Detroit Lions. You're going to have to retroactively go jump what Josh did versus the Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to because I'm not going to make Josh work because he already won the AFC East. So of course it factored in. But the dilemma was that, by the time Josh got to the last 3 games of the season, he had beaten the Lions and he had beaten the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't going to retroactively deduct Josh for not playing in a Patriots game, because I'm sure he could have played in that last game. Well, let me not say I'm sure, but there's a high likelihood he could have played in the Patriots game and scored 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns, whatever the heck. But I wasn't going to punish him for having already finished his homework early. Did
he take a snap to extend his start streak that day?
Yeah.
Okay, so the start streak extended, but then they sat him.
Correct. So then he got a loss, I think, on his record because he started the game, but they didn't win the game. Something stupid. But like that's what it was for me, Bobby. It definitely factored in, but it's kind of like I wasn't going to punish him for having already balled. That was just weird. That's weird to me to do that. To me, it's just weird. It's weird.
We appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, Acho, very much so. Again, you're one of those guys, and I say this to the audience all the time. You actually engage rather than like give an opinion and run. So I got all the respect in the world for that. I really appreciate your time today. You didn't have to give us the time of day. You're the one with the MVP vote, not us. So I'm sure it's not fun for me to sit here and say, oh, you should have voted this way or that way. I know there's a million people doing that. So much respect, and thank you for letting me get this off my chest to an MVP voter.
So you see, she said it right there at the end. I just wanted to get it off my chest. She didn't want to actually listen. She didn't actually want to learn what was going on, what was part of his process. She didn't want any of that. She just wanted to vent, right? She just wanted to vent. And if we're real, and I'm going to be honest here, right? Psychiatrists will tell you, all you have to do is look it up. Therapists will tell you, women just want to vent. In most cases, they don't actually want to learn. They don't actually want to solve the problem. They just want to vent. They just want to be heard. And she just demonstrated that that's all she wanted in this freaking in this more than 20 minutes interview that she did with Acho. She just wanted to vent. She said it. Thank you for letting me get this off my chest. But you didn't care to actually pay attention to what was being said. You didn't care to actually logically assess the situation. And I stopped it right here. But her and Bobby Baltimore, they go on for a bit and they talk. And later on in the episode, one of the things she says is, but I got him to say what I wanted him to say, that Lamar was the best. Okay, that still has nothing to do with it. Josh Allen still won the MVP. It still was a fair voting. The definition of the award is still most valuable, not the best. So, okay, you got him to say what you wanted him to say, which was never a point of contention anyway. But you want to be illogical. You just want to vent. You just want to get it off your chest. You don't want to say. So it's amazing to me, just amazing. Like I had sent this to G in our group chat, me, G, and Transformer, and he was like, "Oh, she basically, she gave it to him." I'm like, "What were you listening to?" He easily dismantled her calmly. She couldn't stay on task. She couldn't understand what was being given. She was getting all emotional and loud. What do you mean? Like, he dismantled her with ease, and it could have been a lot worse. If it was me, it would have been bad. But that was the thing. But yeah, so that was the interview, man. And I thought he did a fantastic job handling that. And this is probably the third or fourth time now I've listened to it. And I gotta say, every time I listen to it, it just gets better. But I'm just really like, man, that was pathetic. They really, really should have done a better job or chosen somebody better in terms of trying to handle that interview, because it was bad. It was bad. And again, you heard her say what she wanted to say, what she had to say. Oh, I got him to say what I wanted to say. And I just had to get that off. Okay, cool. You got it off your chest. Now what? You got it off your chest. Now what? You vented. Josh Allen is still the MVP. It's not going to change. And now we know the definition of valuable. She may not, because she refused to listen, but now most of us know. So it is what it is. Yes, please hit that like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate y'all. Thank you, Laker Nation. I appreciate that, brother. Hit that like and subscribe, man. This is something I definitely took some time in getting together today because, well, I needed to. And, this is something I've been going back and forth about. But let's do this, y'all. Let's do this. Before we get out of here, there we go. Okay. Here comes the call. This is the one I've been waiting for. All right, let me take this. This is Bruce. You know what it is. Bruce, what's good, my man?
I listened to the whole show. You knew I was going to call.
I knew you were going to call. I was waiting for you. That's what's up.
First of all, no Sarah Allison slander on this damn podcast. You hear me?
Oh, no, she deserved it today. She did a terrible job.
No, she didn't.
She refused to listen. She was blatantly disingenuous. At certain points, she lied. I stopped and pointed it all out. Come on, man.
Listen, just because you pointed it all out don't mean that it's a fact.
Okay. So let me ask you this: are you saying that what I was saying was incorrect? And if so, be prepared to logically refute me.
You had a lot of logic with your shit. You had some points, but goddamn, I understand what she was trying to say. She just didn't bring it to the forefront like she's supposed to have said it.
Okay.
Yeah, she most definitely. She didn't go. She didn't. First of all, Emanuel Acho didn't destroy nobody.
No, he didn't. He didn't. He could have. That's what I was saying. He could have, but he didn't.
First of all, man, nobody care about what Emanuel Acho say.
Okay.
Old fanboy.
There we go. There we go. All right.
I don't like him.
I
He's
know.
a fanboy.
Mm-hmm.
He tap dances. He always has been ever since he was on Fox. What you call him? He flip flops.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big flip flopper.
Mm-hmm.
There's been many times on this show, Speak for Yourself or whatever show he on.
Mm-hmm.
He understands he made some of the most ridiculous takes about Lamar.
Okay.
But as of recently, he's been showing Lamar a lot of. I give him that. As of recently, he's come to his senses. But Lamar, like first 4 years, he stayed on Lamar ass with unfair criticism.
Okay.
Okay. So you already know how I feel about Acho. I don't like him.
Okay.
He's like I just don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
But he most definitely. I like how calm he was towards Sarah. I hear you talk about Sarah as being emotional. She's not being emotional. She's being passionate. Isn't that a difference?
No.
Isn't that different between being passionate and emotional?
Let me say this: when it's you, yes. You see what I'm saying? You tracking?
You calling her emotional because she's fighting for her guy.
No,
Okay,
no, that's not why. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm not gonna say why I'm saying it. But
okay. Now they moved all of a sudden, all the years, they moved the goalposts about how they vote for the MVP. Lamar's the best player, but Josh Allen's the most valuable player because the Ravens had 9 Pro Bowlers. Well, majority of them on defense. How many Pro Bowlers they had on offense?
3 or 4.
It was 3.
I know it was 3 for sure. I thought 3. It might have been 4. They didn't.
6 on defense. So okay. So that takes away Lamar's value because he had 9 Pro Bowlers.
I'm not saying yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let's not get a trip. In the first 8 weeks, the fucking had the worst pass defense in history, and he was carrying them through all that shit. Going to war with Joe Burrow. There was 2 games Joe Burrow could have beat us, but because of Lamar's value, because of the value of Lamar Jackson, he came through with big plays in the game.
I think I get what you're saying. I look at it, and if you notice, I said it multiple times during the show that Lamar Jackson was the best quarterback in the game, in the league. You heard me say that multiple times, right?
Absolutely. You always give Lamar love. I give you that.
Yeah. I just
certain shit you do though, but go ahead.
No, I just think that in this case, man, I think there's a difference between and I say most valuable and best. I really do. But yeah, I guess we can just split hairs on that. But go ahead with what you're saying. My bad.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Brucey.
Yes, sir.
So you feel Josh Allen is more valuable than Lamar? I'm asking you. I'm answering you.
I'm answering you.
I'm asking you. Do you feel that Josh Allen is more valuable, not better than Lamar, but do you feel though he's more valuable than Lamar?
This particular season, I'm not upset with him getting that award, being most Hold on, I'm answering you. Hold on. I'm answering you. And being seen, being regarded as being more valuable this particular season. You were here for the show that we did the other night, right? When G said he would have been good with a co-MVP, I would have been fine with that as well. I also would have been fine with Lamar winning it. You heard me say that as well. What I'm saying is I'm not mad that Josh Allen got it. I can see the argument is all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So you beating around the bush. Is a yes or no question. Is he more valuable than Lamar Jackson? Period. Valuable, not the best. Is he? We using the V word. Is he more valuable?
This particular season, I can go with that.
Oh, Josh Allen was more valuable.
This particular season,
more Pro Bowlers.
Not just that, but again, I wouldn't have been mad if Lamar got it. See what I'm saying? Like it's a.
I know that. I know that. I know what you're saying, but I'm talking about the value.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. The value. That's what I'm talking about. I wouldn't have been upset. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So you believe Josh Allen was more valuable than Lamar this year? Not the best, but valuable.
Yeah,
we all know Lamar is better than him.
Yes. There's no question about that. There's no question. But no, I think that there's a legitimate argument that Josh Allen was more valuable this year. Yeah, I'm not upset with that statement.
Oh, okay. But you know also though James Cook rushed for 17 touchdowns too as well. Though,
I
right?
do.
Like
I
he
do.
had nothing. He had Amari Cooper. He had Shakir. I mean,
he only had Amari
like,
Cooper for like half the year, and it's not like Amari Cooper went off even when he got there. You know what I'm saying?
But he had weapons. He had weapons so often. Okay, isn't the Pro Bowl a souped up achievement? Like a lot of motherfuckers just make Pro Bowl out of
Pro Bowl is like NBA All-Star, man.
So
all NFL or all pro, that's the one that means something. Pro Bowl don't mean a whole lot.
See, I think it would have been better if they would have did co-MVPs.
I wouldn't have been upset at that. I wouldn't have been upset at that at all.
They were talking about how he beat Kansas City, how he beat Detroit.
That's big to me.
That's big. But also, after that Eagles loss, we did win 3 games in 15 days. I mean, goddamn that stretch. Hey, our playoff hopes were looking shaky. We wasn't in a lot for the playoffs.
So let me ask you this while I got you here, Bruce.
Yes, sir.
How much do you think Derrick Henry's 1,900, almost 2,000 rushing yards helped the Ravens do what they did and go on that run to make the playoffs when it was looking shaky?
It was astronomical.
Okay.
Also, what about the years you had?
No, I'm with you. I know where you're going, and I agree. Right. I'm not saying that to try and denigrate Lamar. I was just kind of asking what you thought this particular season.
If anybody for the team should have been valued, should have been Derrick Henry, because look at Lamar numbers because he was there. Because of the fear of them giving him that
right. That helped a lot. And that's not to say that Lamar couldn't have been beasting out without him, because we've seen him do it, right? So we know that. And yes, I'm sorry, guys.
Also, he finally got it, man. He's throwing the ball better than anybody in history right now.
Facts.
It's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
What he came from.
No, absolutely. And, only a fool would not be willing to admit that. So I'm totally with you. And that's what I'm saying. He's at a point now where once he just gets over that playoff hump, and again, I think he's just in his own head, because there's nothing he can't do. We've seen it. He could sit in the pocket, completely slice and dice you like a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady. He can get out and kill you on the ground like a Michael Vick.
Please let's not talk about his playoff failures right now.
No. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm saying is he is now playing at a level. He's achieved a level that we've never seen before. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying once he gets out of his own head, it's over. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, he can destroy you from the pocket. He can destroy you with his legs. I'm sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Sorry. So basically, the main idea of this subject, basically, the higher ups, the AP, and the people who vote, they change the criteria of the voting of the MVP, basically.
So here's the I don't think they changed it. I think, and this is what I love, what Acho said, he looked for clarification, right? He looked for clarification, because think about it. You've been around this show for a while now. How long have I been saying that if they're going to vote that way, they need to just change it and make it most outstanding player like the NCAA tournament? How long have I been saying that? You know what I'm saying? And so I have, I think that I love the fact that he deliberately reached out and he's making it clear. I reached out for clarification. That's big to me, right? Because he said, I told them to send me what am I voting for? You know what I'm saying? Who else has said that? You're telling me none of these other voters have ever done that, or they don't know what they're voting for? I think that's big. I do. And so I like that a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
But if you go back to prior years, Emanuel Acho was hard on Lamar, yo. I'm telling you, he used to, the stuff he used to say about Lamar, it's like his eyes lit up when they talked about Lamar for the bullshit.
Okay, let me. Okay, so let me try to, in a totally different way, make an analogy. Right? I have never been as great at anything as Lamar Jackson is at playing quarterback. Right? So I'm not in any way comparing myself to him. But let me say this: when I was in high school, right, I studied French, right, and I think my junior year, whichever, I made the National Honor Society for Foreign Language, right, for being an outstanding French student. And so I remember one time, I think I got like a low B for the quarter, for the marking period in my French class. And I didn't think nothing of it. And my teacher, she pulled me to the side and she was like, Bruce, what are you doing? I was like, well, madam, what's the matter? She's like, why do you have this grade in my class? I said, madam, I got a B. What's the problem? And she said, the problem is I know you could have gotten an A. It's not that you got a B. A B is not bad. But for you, what I know you can do, you could have gotten an A, right? And so I say that to say that's the reason that people are hard on Lamar, because he is beyond great. You know what I'm saying? He's legendary.
You harsh. You harsh with Lamar, but it's with love.
Yes.
He used to be harsh with Lamar. It was a disrespectful, like he wasn't bright. If you go back like 3 or 4 years ago, when he was talking about him like he wasn't smart.
Okay.
So you different. When you criticize Lamar, you like the big brother, like you the big brother type criticism. Like, man, fuck that. We want Super Bowl MVP, man. If that MVP, that regular season MVP don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? That's how you is. You know what I mean? We want Super Bowl. That's what we want. And you frustrated, you just can't. It's like you on the edge. You just can't wait. You know what's gonna happen.
Right.
You that big brother, like damn.
Yeah.
You know, there's a love, but he used to try to be. There's a lot of sarcasm. It was a lot of subliminal hidden messages, like he's not smart or.
So can I ask you this? Can I ask you this now? Early on in his career. And I'm not advocating anything because I didn't hear the commentary. I still need to look it up. But let's say hypothetically that you're correct and Acho is making, he's making them slick comments denigrating Lamar's intelligence at the position, right? Which would be absolutely terrible. But if he was, do you think that part of it is the way that his offensive coordinators, i.e. Greg Roman, earlier in his career had him playing?
Yes. They try to dumb it down like the complex.
And I think they do that with a lot of the mobile athletic quarterbacks early in their career while they get the defenses figured out and they, learn the more complex offensive passing schemes in the NFL. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying I think that we see that happening a lot. And I'm not if to your point, Acho was talking about Lamar that way, I'm not advocating that either. Like I said, I need to still go look into that. But I hadn't heard it. That's why I don't really feel that way about it. But I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I probably have to dig it up for you. But other than that, then he said some stuff about. But he heard his credibility. We talking about he's friends with he liked Brock Purdy. Yeah, he's friends with guys on the team.
He's friends with D'Amico Ryans and Fred Warner. Like you should have left that out, bro. I didn't like that at all. Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
See, that throw a little shaky wrench in the most. Like,
it did.
Why do you have to even go there?
Yeah, you could have left that out. Right. Absolutely. I'm with you.
Kind of look at him side eye, right?
Yeah. No, it definitely, because you know me, man. My whole thing, and I probably say it to you 1,000 times a day. You're sick of hearing it. I try to be objective. And that right there, that hurts you when you're trying to make an objective argument when you're saying stuff like that.
Yeah, but like I already get off the phone, like I was saying, Sarah, she was basically venting as a woman. And I like how, but at the same time, I kind of give it. She bleed purple like me. He can't do no wrong. He ain't trying to hear none of that shit. Acho talking about. But Acho was so respectful. Let me say this: the past year, I learned to gain a little bit of respect for him. He came, but when I first started to watch him, I was like, I wish I could see. My blood used to boil every time he talked. You hear me? Like, I got you. I used to watch that shit just for motivation. Like here you go with the bullshit. Other than that, man, Sarah was passionate about the Ravens, man. She wasn't trying to hear nothing. The logic that Acho was spewing. Yeah. But he made it clear. I get what he's saying. I get the best player, valuable player. Co-MVP would have been good.
I wouldn't have been mad at that at all. But my only thing is, why invite him on if you're not trying to hear nothing he has to say? You're deliberately ignoring what he's saying. Why invite him on?
She was a little emotional, but with passion. Understand what I'm saying? But she was a little. You could tell like she was wanted to lay in him. Like she mad about that shit, Lamar, and get that there MVP. She ain't playing that shit. We all felt we should have got it.
Well, I tell you, Acho handled that better than I would have, because I would have dismantled her calmly. But I would have totally destroyed all her nonsensical commentary. I'd have destroyed her.
We all know why they gave him that MVP, because he beat him in the playoffs. Come on now.
Yeah, that's what it appears. Yeah, I think so. It shouldn't be that way, but I think so.
You know, the good old Bull Network got a secret society going on in the NFL. That's why they and that's one thing about respect by the NFL, yo. They run that motherfucker with an iron fist. They ain't none of that shit going on in the NFL that's going on in the NBA.
Well, I mean, if that was the case, Mahomes and them would have got that third one, but that's a whole different story.
Now they get that third one because they ran to them goons. But anyway,
facts.
Yeah, man, nice talk to you. I was sitting back. Let's look at Bruce breaking down every little part of the interview, and he's evangelist. He's destroying. He destroyed the kind like a man supposed to destroy a woman. Yeah, and you supposed to be soft with him in certain. In that situation, he did right. He did right.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was her platform. He was respectful. And he handled that properly.
Yeah, he did a funny pop-up show. That's how you supposed to do it because, hey, the NFL season over. So, I think you might have to do a Friday pop-up show every now and then, every other Friday.
Right, no doubt.
Playoffs coming down the pipe, boy.
Yes, sir. That's going to be tough, but I'm going to do my best, man. I know.
But plus the combine, so it's going to be good.
Yeah, definitely, man. We still got stuff.
NFL free agency, March Madness, a lot of big fights coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
And don't forget to watch Keyshawn Davis tonight, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Is that on ESPN tonight?
I think so. He up and coming.
Yeah. He's a problem. I like him. Next weekend is and we'll talk about that one. That's going to be great.
I'm excited for that too.
Yeah.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you, brother.
All right, Bruce. Thanks so much for the call, man. I appreciate you as always, man.
Always. All right, bro.
No doubt. All right. My man Bruce, great freaking call right there. Great call, man. I love it. He's, you know what? Like, he's got so much passion for his Ravens, for our Ravens. I wish I could be that way, but I think I'm like so conditioned by trying to be an objective journalist. But let's take this call. Laker Nation, what's good, my man?
Hey, man, I just had to call because I had to mess with you.
No doubt. Appreciate you.
Nah, what's good, Bruce?
Ain't nothing, man. I don't hate on your Niners, man. No, man. I got a lot of respect for the Niners.
Man, why you making this show today, man? You should be out with your old lady, man. It's Valentine's Day.
Oh, man. Look, man, I had to do the show, man.
I'm just messing with you. Hey, man. I don't think I'm mad about Acho is why he always feel like he got to defend himself, man.
Because people don't like him, so they attack him. So, hey, if I get attacked, I'm going to speak up,
Man, so what? Stand on business on what you say and let them, let them just scream and cry. He always go on TV, go on these podcasts, defending what he said. Like, that's the only thing that's the only thing I disagree with him. Like, man.
Well, I think he got invited on. I don't think he was looking to go on this show and do a debate. She invited him, so he was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a second. But that's the only thing that's like the only thing I disagree with Acho. I'm like, man, you're a journalist now. You in the journalism world.
Right.
You're just doing your job. Fans are gonna be that fans. They're not gonna like everything that you say.
Right.
They're gonna disagree with what you say, especially if you say some things they don't like about their team and their favorite player. Mm-hmm. They're gonna go at you.
He got death threats over not voting for Lamar. I thought that was insane. I don't know, man. These people are wild. Yeah,
you should never give nobody death threats over
right. Like, come on, man. Like, okay, we get it. You love your team. You're passionate, man. Death threats? Really? That's what we doing? Nah. That's pathetic.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he can. I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have mentioned my friendship.
No.
In that type of discussion. Now, if it was a different topic, if they were talking about something different, then you want to bring up your friendship with guys in the 49ers organization, and that's fine. But in that situation, when you're discussing you're a voter and why you voted the way you did,
right?
That makes that kind of chips away at your credibility.
Absolutely,
as a voter.
It does. You're right.
So
yes.
So that's like me saying, "Hey, I voted." That's like me voting for you. You know what I'm saying, for MVP of the league.
Right.
And I was like, the only reason why I voted for Bruce is I love his podcast.
Right. Exactly. Like okay, that didn't help
all
anything.
my credibility.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Terrible.
But I'm gonna touch on the thing. Like, I'm not gonna go into the feminism because people gonna get in their feelings if I do that.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that alone.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna touch on that.
Right.
But what I will say is that he was from what I got through the whole clip that you played. I don't feel like we got a notification about your Jalen Hurts. Lamar.
Wait, what happened?
I get notifications about your videos down there all day, and while I'm talking to you on the phone now, I got a notification about your premiere for Jalen Hurts. Putting more pressure on Lamar.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's okay. That's the one from the show the other night. Okay.
Yeah, I just got that notification while I was on the phone.
Nice. Good.
So, I just feel like you just like when I listen to the whole thing, because I'm not in Baltimore, I'm not not a Ravens fan, so I never listened to her show. So I might check it out. I may not. I don't know.
Yeah, she's good sometimes. I just thought, like, when I listened to it, I'm like, oh, I see what she's doing. I know what this is about.
Yeah, but like, I just feel like he just brought him on there, tried to tear him down, and call him out for not voting the way she wanted him to vote when it's his vote. I'm like, if you feel some type of way, get your ass on the committee. Figure out a way to get on the committee and you vote.
Yeah, I think you got to be a beat writer for like 3 years consecutively or something like that. There's some criteria that you have to get to have a vote, like, or be informed. I don't know. Well, it can't be that because obviously Acho wasn't that, but there's some criteria you have to meet. Let's see. Let's find out what it is.
Yeah, I'm saying if she that passionate and that pissed off about his vote, that you got to invite him on his show to talk about it. Hey, find out what the criteria is to become a voter. Do it and get on the panel and vote.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. But it's like,
agreed.
Like she made that comment. Like she made a comment that she was like, I found I'm bringing this to you because I finally got able to voice my concerns to a voter. I'm like, that was the main premise of inviting them on.
Yes.
Was because she felt like, oh yes, I finally get to give my opinion about how I feel about the voting and how the voting went to an actual voter that was on the committee.
Right.
They didn't give a rat's ass who he voted for. She was just going to say what she was going to say.
Yeah, she had to
They could have voted for Lamar.
Yeah,
and she'd have been mad at him because Lamar didn't win.
Yeah, she just wanted to vent. I mean, you heard her say it. You literally heard her say it. I just had to get that off my. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you just arguing,
exactly.
Whatever, man.
You can't be on the podcast just arguing to be arguing unless you just want to get one of them clown shows that just goes viral once in a while for argument.
Right.
Like Gil's Arena, for example.
Yeah.
Come on now, everybody watch the show just to hear them argue, and
he gets a whole lot of views for that, though.
Once in a while, Gil makes some valid points. But
yeah.
But I'm gonna go off topic for a second. I just think some go at him, but some let him slide because he's an actual NBA player, and they think guys like Dribber's Pro, who's never played in the NBA, can't dispute some of the things that he say about locker rooms and all that. So they let him get away with a lot of foolishness. But then you get guys like Scap Attack who don't care and just go at him.
Yeah, so Scap Attack is nice, and I would never take shots at him. He's good in what he does, but he's very, very numbers driven, and sometimes that doesn't always tell the full story. And you know that when you're around the game for a long time, you know that. But he makes
some people just
Sorry,
very
go ahead.
stat driven.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He makes those numbers say what he wanted them to say, though. I can't front on that.
Numbers tell the truth. I ain't gonna lie, we don't tell all the truth.
Right. That's
you
correct.
can't just go by just numbers alone.
Right. And that's why Acho said I don't just go with a bunch of stats. I look at the tape. So I respect that.
Yeah, because if you look at the numbers like this, like numbers of the Super Bowl, you see the game was 40-22. You were like, okay, well, they didn't get beat too bad.
Right.
But if you never watched the game, you wouldn't have realized that all those points came in garbage time.
Exactly.
And all those yards came in garbage time. It didn't come when it mattered.
Correct.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just go off numbers alone, but numbers are important.
I'm with you on that. Absolutely.
But and there's a lot of people get on there and make these arguments. They don't understand what MVP really means. They just think it's the best player in the league. That's not what the MVP is.
But think about it. That's all these sports. That's what they vote for. And that's why Acho was like, nah, I need to clarify exactly what it is. I need to ask him, what am I voting for? And he got that. But what happens is she doesn't like it. Because I guarantee you, if this was a situation where maybe Lamar didn't have the best numbers this year, right? But he was the most valuable, she would be pushing for him to have won it based on that. And we know that. So it's like, come on, man. Just keep it. Yeah. But it is what it is, man. I'm learning very quickly. As much as I try to demand it, you can't expect objectivity in something so driven by fans.
Correct. Because I used to be that way too. I'd be like, why so and so didn't get the MVP? The numbers were outstanding. Boom, boom. But it took me a while to understand the term most valuable player. It's the most valuable player to their team. That's why I started defending Steve Nash's MVP award. Because
didn't he steal one from Kobe?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But
okay, go
on. Kobe had better numbers, but he had better numbers, but Steve Nash, those 2 years were the sun.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He stole one from Timmy and he stole one from Kobe. But anyway,
yeah, because if you go numbers wise, they had way better numbers. But record wise, Phoenix had the better season that year. Yeah, I believe they knocked the Lakers out the playoffs that year.
I believe so.
Too.
It was that 06, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I believe so. They knocked them out of the playoffs, but that was when Kobe was going crazy.
Yeah.
That was that 3-year stretch where Kobe was just going ballistic.
Yeah, he was.
I'm sorry, I'm going off topic again. But I don't hate Acho.
I don't either.
Like most people do. I just feel like some people just, if they say one thing about your team, which I've never been this way. I'm like, if they're bad, call them. I'm more like this with my boys. If they're bad, call them out.
Facts.
There's something disrespectful about it.
Yeah, no doubt. But
hold them accountable. Like I appreciate you in another side holding them accountable like I do as a fan.
Right.
And I respect people that hold my team accountable or my quarterback accountable.
Right.
Like you do with Lamar. You shoot it straight when it comes to him.
Right.
I don't know. Now, if he's talking like Sam, was talking like he can't play, then that's something totally different.
Right.
He's obviously the best quarterback in the league.
I'd say so. I'd say so too.
Hands down.
Yeah.
No one is more athletic.
Right. He can do things nobody else can. Yeah, exactly. No question.
But remember, though, his weaknesses used to be the long ball. And
now he drop it in the basket.
He drops it in the basket while they're on the run.
Yes.
So
yes, he does.
It's like, what more are they going to say about him? What they going to say now?
You can't.
Now, the only thing they can say is, he can't win the playoffs. And then when he does win it all, then what they going to say?
Nothing. They're going to have nothing to say, and they're going to be mad about it. No, I'm with you. But no, I think when it comes to Acho, man, I think there's just more to it than him being critical. And I think it has a lot to do with what I tried to carefully explain earlier in the show when you asked that question. I really do.
Yeah. I just feel like they look at him as, how am I going to say this? I don't know if you grew up in the hood, Bruce. But let's say if you did, if you're sitting on your porch just chilling all day, you see G walking down the street, you hesitate to go approach him. But if you see a nerdy kid with a Ravens jersey on, you're gonna feel like he's an easy target. I feel like that's how they look at Acho, like an easy target, like he's that nerd.
Could be, because
that you can just bully.
That might be a good point. And I briefly mentioned this, but I didn't get into it. A while back, I did a show talking about the WNBA, really talking about Angel Reese, right? Following all that controversy. Right. And so when Acho said what he said about her, and James Jones agreed with him and echoed the same sentiments, and so did Shady McCoy.
Yeah.
Everybody attacked Acho and they didn't say nothing to Shady or James Jones. I was like, that's weird. Yeah. And that's what really got me like digging a little deeper and thinking about it. And that's why like I referenced myself and my own situation in terms of, you know, how I grew up and what my what kind of how my family status is. And it made me realize like, okay, I can see that. I definitely think that has something to do with it. But again, I don't really try to take it to the politics and all that stuff on here.
It's funny you brought that up, Bruce. Because I think that's when around the time I started watching your show for the first time.
Okay.
Because I saw that and I was like, and that's when I finally started paying attention to, like, why the hell they only you know, because I think I saw it first on Dreamers Pro. Because, you know, I don't watch a lot of these debate shows on ESPN on TV anymore. You know, because they just be spitting nonsense all damn day. And I got tired of talking about LeBron also. But that's the first time I heard it. Then I tuned in the first take for the first time in like 5 years. When they were talking about the WNBA, that was around the time, you know, that was when Caitlin Clark, that was when they was having that, about the Olympics. It was around the time with the Olympics and Caitlin Clark, you know, they are discussing why that she should have been included. Like Stephen A. and all those people. Like, and then a few of the, I'm not going to call out their names, but the female journalists felt like she shouldn't have been included because she didn't own her stripes yet. And I was like, I get both of them make valid points. I get it. But the NBA wouldn't have been where it is. That's a bad take. The NBA is shit right now. But
I know what you're trying to say.
But the NBA wouldn't have grew as major as they have been if they would have felt like Jordan wasn't ready.
Right.
Let's just say like if their dream team was in '84. And, you know, he was coming in and like, oh, nah, we ain't gonna give him the rock. He ain't ready. You know, let's just give it to Magic and Bird and them.
Right.
And I don't think it would have been as big as. But like, I agree with him. I think WNBA dropped the ball on that one.
Man, that's a whole different story.
But that's a whole different topic because everybody has their own opinions on that, which I don't care. I welcome the smoke.
Right. We know you do, Laker Nation. We know you do.
I have my stand. I love Caitlin Clark's game. I love the way she's doing for the women. I love seeing that the women's game is getting more recognized.
That is cool.
I love that the women are getting, you know, more credibility. But the only thing I have pushback on the women is, hey, well, y'all want that massive contract. If y'all want that money, y'all gotta bring in the revenue.
That's right.
The NBA is keeping that WNBA alive.
Yeah, Alexander, I definitely got time after this one. I got time after this.
But I'm gonna let somebody else call in. I appreciate you not kicking me off the phone today. I greatly appreciate that, Bruce.
But look, man, you got it, bro. You got it.
Normally you'd be like, okay, like Nation, I gotta let you go. I got another caller.
Sometimes I got another caller, man.
Yeah, but I appreciate you, Bruce.
No doubt, man. Thank you.
Hey, call in, Steve.
I think Alexander said he wanted to call as well. All right, brother.
I just like trolling Steve because he's a Notre Dame guy.
Why you know? Okay, you can have that today.
I didn't troll you yet. I said Steve.
but I'm a Notre Dame guy. But
I didn't throw you.
All right. But here's the call, man. I got to take this.
Oh, now you're kicking me off.
Yes, I got to take this.
All right, bro.
All right, brother. Format Podcast. Who's this?
Hey, it's Alexander A.
What's going on, Alexander? How you doing, man? Have you called in before?
Nah, I called before, but the show was already running out. It was like weeks ago, though.
Okay.
But thank you for having the leisure, man. For sure, appreciate you, man.
No doubt, man.
I went back and I listened to the interview while you was on the phone with Laker Nation.
Okay.
And seeing the thumbnail was wild. I was like, oh snap, what Ancho say? And I was like, oh yeah, he, like you said, he dismantled her. You know?
Yep.
And I used to argue like that. He was a better player. He was a better quarterback. He deserves the MVP. But now that I'm looking at it more as I got older, the word value, it means Josh Allen this year. And I agree with that to a point where I say, yeah, Lamar did have a better season, and like you hit him with the running back, the Henry. Henry put up 1,900 yards. That was a sleeper. Like, whoa. That kind of takes Lamar down a tick or two in the both, which was, I believe, the difference in this year.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
Mm-hmm. But also, apropos football, what do you think Patrick Mahomes will win a Super Bowl without Andy Reid and Kelsey?
Man, I think that's so tough. I really do. And that got us into a whole protracted debate the other night with Young Disciple calling in, and that turned into a Brady Belichick thing with him and Transformer. But I don't know that he will. And I'm not saying Pat Mahomes is not great, because he's all-time great. But if you look at it, he's so used to depending on Kelsey. I think it's going to be a huge adjustment for him, because whenever he's in trouble, he looks to that open spot in his zone, and somehow Kelsey is always there waiting to make that catch and move the chains. And when Kelsey's not there anymore, it's going to be very interesting to see what he does. And then, of course, when you no longer have Andy Reid, one of the greatest play designers and play callers in NBA history, when you don't have him anymore, I would, as great as Mahomes is, I think Andy Reid makes it a lot easier for certain things to happen. And so I believe it is going to be not nearly as easy, but if anybody could do it, it would be Mahomes, but it's not nearly going to be as easy. So I don't think so, but I don't want to count him out because of how great he is. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I was thinking about that after the Super Bowl, and I said to myself, I believe if he wins one without him, I believe he can. I would bet on it.
Yeah, he can.
And I think when he does it, I think he'll be thinking about retirement the one time he does it.
I can see that. Yeah.
I believe it would be so difficult, And,
Agreed.
Yeah. And Laker Nation, I'm a Niner fan too, man. What was you saying about my Niners, OG?
Oh, here we go. Nah, I think he was getting on me. I think he was getting on me because I think he was saying that. I think he thought I was hating on the Niners, which is not the case at all. So yeah, he was getting on me.
What's your NFL? I used to watch ESPN. They used to do the NFL yearbooks. Do you remember that?
What was it? The NFL yearbook you said?
Yeah, ESPN2. They used to air the team season in like 30 minutes and stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So how would you sum up the Niners season this year?
Injuries, man.
Go ahead.
Clearly, injuries is the biggest. That was the biggest thing that caused them the most difficulty, man. Injuries. You just lost so many key players. It's only but so long you can hang in there, and they were still competitive in most of these games, man. But injuries, I think, is the key.
And here's the thing about it, man. We still went into those games with confidence.
Yeah. Well, that's believing in your play calling and believing in your scheme. There are some people who don't think scheme is important, but scheme is very important in football.
Right. It is very important. And so is health. But losing IU and Kittle in and out, we even lost Purdy for a couple of games.
Yeah,
and the
that's
running
right.
Back and somebody put it to me lightly a couple of weeks ago. He was like, the Niners went 5 straight years in the NFC Championship game. I said, that's exhausting.
Yeah, that's a long run. That's a long run. But hey, listen, the Chiefs did 7 straight. So, at one point the Patriots did 8 straight. So, if you want to be great, you gotta be able to keep it together. But at some point, man, the NFL is not designed for teams to continue to have that level of sustained success. At some point, it's gonna break down. So it is what it is.
Right. And I missed the show where y'all were talking about is the GOAT debate over. Do you think it's over?
For now, it is. I think, and it may be over permanently. Mahomes is gonna have to do a lot to climb back into that one. You actually it's on the channel. It's under videos. Because what I do is when I do the 4 topic shows, I cut those up and make each individual topic its own show. So you can always go back and see everything that we've done. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you can check that out.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think there was no debate. I think it was just a good propaganda push. Even though Patrick Mahomes is supremely gifted and talented, the arm stuff he was doing, doing the double pump arm touchdown pass. And I'm like, dude, he double pumped that and showed him where he was going and still threw it there. That was wild stuff. But over the years, it's gotten less and less. And I say to myself, well, this is where Tom is always been the best to me. It's a little biased. I'm from the Bay Area too. A little biased, yeah.
Right.
But where I see this is the difference between Mahomes and Brady. See, Brady is the smaller the pocket got, he was the same quarterback, and the pocket is shrinking on Mahomes, and he's trying to figure out. I guess he has to figure out the pocket better, because without his mobility, he looks like a 46 quarterback, and that's no bueno. And the truth is usually exposed in these games. You have 2 weeks to prepare. So the truth will be exposed. And the Chiefs, they were the least formidable 15-2 team I've seen in Super Bowl history. I'm like, how are these guys? They're not blowing anybody out. I'm always hearing controversy in their win. I very rarely watched them play this year. They weren't something I sought after to see, and the Swifties didn't help.
So how I actually looked at that was kind of different. Like, a lot of people said that, but I looked at it and said it was the mark of a great team that they found so many different ways to win. So that's how I kind of saw it, But clearly I was about to say clearly I was wrong, but I don't even think it's that. I think it's just the Eagles are built in such a way that very few teams can emulate, right? They are so dominant in the front 4. Not many teams can do that, but they can, and it gave the Chiefs hell. And the Chiefs also don't have any elite weapons for the most part on the outside. They are going to need to get Mahomes weapons. So,
Yeah. I thought Nick would be more effective too, but I forgot. He's old.
That's right. You got anything else, my brother?
The All-Star weekend this weekend. My interest level isn't high, but you having a show to run, I know you'll watch. But is your interest level high?
No, but to your point, I will watch, and we'll talk about it on Sunday morning.
All right, for sure.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. All right, thank you, man. Limited Leisure, man. Thanks for allowing me to come on. I look forward to coming up and having some more conversations with you, bro.
No doubt, man. I appreciate that, and I'm gonna make sure I lock your number in, man. Thank you for calling. I appreciate you. Click that like and subscribe if you haven't already.
All right, we'll do, G.
All right, brother.
Peace.
All right, Steve, last call. Let me take a call from Steve Splenda, and then I'm going to get out of here. You guys can go and enjoy your Valentine's Day or whatever it is you're going to do this evening. But yeah, Steve, let's get this last call. There we go. My guy, Steve, what's going on?
Not much, Bruce. What's happening, man?
Maintaining, man. What you got?
Man, you got a hold of me and told me to come watch this live. You just murdered me with woman prattle for 25 minutes, man. That was brutal.
Steve, man, I'm just saying, I shared out the link. You could watch or not. I appreciate it.
Man,
it was pretty bad though.
My ears were bleeding, bro.
Yeah, she did a very poor job.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. That was listen, whether you like or dislike Acho for whatever reason, that was a master class of how you deal with someone that's engaging in a debate or a conversation that's over emotional and has a bias and they're too passionate, however you want to say it. To me, when you say someone's passionate, it's just like they just can't control their emotions.
No, I think there's a difference. clearly she couldn't control her emotions, but there's a difference. I think there can be.
Probably, but I think more than likely, if you're overly passionate, you're going to be overly emotional.
Right.
But I just wanted to say that was a masterclass on how Acho conducted himself.
Yeah, it was.
And pretty much shows it should show people how if you want to engage in a conversation or a debate or an exchange of ideas, you can't get your emotions involved.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to listen, to articulate a response instead of like listening to just respond and or just hearing just to respond to correct myself, because that was exactly what happened for 25 long ear bleeding minutes. Oh man. I can't believe we got this. We're at a point in society where this woman, I'm not saying all women, but this woman really was trying to refute an ex-football player and his vote on the MVP based off of her biased, emotional feeling. And you were right. She pretty much said it at the end. I just wanted to get this off my chest. It's like, you weren't going to engage and articulate debate or an exchange of ideas. You didn't want to hear. You just wanted him to conform into like a spoiled child. You just wanted him to conform and say the things you wanted him to say.
That's right. And he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Because if you were to go,
have our own sports podcast, that's crazy.
Yeah, if you were to go and actually listen to that interview on YouTube, the whole thing after he's off, she's like, "But I got him to say what I wanted him to say. That Lamar was the best." Okay, cool. Nobody said Lamar wasn't the best, but you're totally missing the point. Like, so she was really locking in, dragging that bone because she was not going to quit until he said what she wanted her to say. But what she didn't even realize, because she wouldn't listen, is that was totally irrelevant to his argument in the first place. So, whatever.
Well, there you go. You said the key word, listen. She didn't listen.
Right.
And she's a perfect example of why you have people like me. Like, it's just the truth. She is the perfect example of why people like me exist and why we can't even engage in this idea of like, hey, some of this progress is so, necessary. It's like, not when you conduct yourself like this. You're just feeding into these stereotypes that you complain to people like me that we talk about.
Right.
It's crazy. Anyway, I know you want to keep it pushing, bro. I just want to call in real quick. Get this off my chest.
And you did, Steve. You did.
All right, bro. I appreciate you, man.
No doubt. Hey, thanks for the call. Thanks for hanging with me, Steve. I appreciate it, brother.
Of course. You have a good one.
All right, man.
All right.
All right. I'm going to let it go right here. I'm going to wrap it up. I didn't expect this to be a 2-hour show, but it was good, man. Great engagement from all you guys. Some great calls. Appreciate all you guys who called. Laker Nation, Bruce, Alexander X, and of course my main man, Steve Splendor. So thank you so much for all of that. Thank you for those of you who stuck around with me all the way through. I know it was a lot, but as Steve said, and as Sarah Ellison said, I had to get it off my chest, right? But no, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. Have a great night. We'll be back with you Sunday morning. All right. So y'all enjoy it. Be safe. And I'm out. Peace.